There was a time when I didn't really appreciate silhouettes in wildlife photography. I chased detail, sharp eyes, feather texture, clean exposure, making sure I could see everything in the frame. But over time, something started to shift in how I saw photography. I began noticing the atmosphere more, the feeling of a scene, the shape of a bird against first light, light leaking through wings. And maybe that's part of the creative journey. Have you noticed your own photography changing over time? The things you once chased, the things you now notice more, the type of images you connect with today compared to a few years ago? I think that evolution is a really important part of photography. What do you think? Let me know below. Hi everyone, Shelley here. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about silhouettes. I'm going to look at the creative side of it, and I hope this really gives you something to think about, because just going out and just getting a dark shape on a background is good, yeah, don't get me wrong, but what about the creative side of it? Have you thought about that? And I'm pushing the creative side of the silhouettes, and I want you to think about how you can apply it in your photography and if you get a renewed interest in it. Because when I first started out with silhouettes, I I didn't like it. I didn't have a vision. And now, like, I'm always thinking about how I can do things different. The thing I want you to remember is not to get stuck on that it's not a silhouette, because I'm just using it as a base for it. And some of the images I will show you, you might think, well, that could be low key. And yes, it could be, but it's a combination of things. And I think it's about not concerned about getting the detail in your image and just looking for something different and how you use the light. The first one is positioning, and that is just so important, that you position yourself to get that whole picture, the shape that you want, the background, all those sorts of things, where the sun is, what you want to do with that light. To move around and try some different ways. One of the things, and I'm really guilty of this, is just keep taking photos from the same spot when you've possibly have already got the shot, and you could maybe move a little bit, or to get lower, or stand up, just try lots of different things. I think sometimes you get so caught up in the atmosphere, you just keep clicking and you're not really changing anything. So that's something for you to think about when you're out there spot and it's happening for you. And if you move a little bit to change the light a little bit, exposure is important as well. Really, when you're doing silhouettes, you're not exposing for the subject, you're exposing for the subject to go dark. But generally I find I'm exposing for the light, particularly the coloured light, and to make it really come out. And what you can do when you bring it into editing, you can change it. You can lighten the colour or make it darker, but you can get the colour, and then you can refine that in your editing process. Particularly if your subject is a bird, sometimes like if they turn your back to it and the shape's not there of the bird, because you want it to be separated, so you need that separation. And there could be other things in the shot that you also want to be in the composition, and you want them dark to show the distinct features of whatever you're trying to show in your image, that it's very clear, because there's not going to be detail, there's going to be shape, and shape is what you want to make sure is very clear in your image, so that when people look at it, they're looking at something that they can define what it is. For instance, if it's a bird flying, wings up and those sorts of things. If it's feeding, you've got an angle that shows the bird feeding and shows the shape of what they're got and things like that. So I think that's quite important. And then your backgrounds, simplicity is probably the best way to go to show the foreground. the simplicity is the way to go, because it's going to make your subject stands out, because you're going for that shape, and there's no distractions in the background that are going to draw away from that and make it look confusing to someone viewing your image. Slowing down. I think that's one of the things, sometimes when you see something beautiful, all you do is just keep clicking a little like that. Maybe slow down, get those shots, let that initial excitement fade a bit, and then really slow down and look at what's in front of you and think, what can I do? And sometimes, like for me, sometimes I've noticed something about the fog that's quite distinct, or the way the rays are coming through the fog, and I can see the rays, and then thinking about how I'm exposing for that if I want to go to show it a little bit more. And they're the things that you see when you slow down. And sometimes, quite often, you might see something that you don't want in the image. If you start to really look around the whole image, you start to pick up things that you could do better. A lot of us, and this is not a critique or saying you shouldn't be doing this, but a lot of us are just trying to expose and show everything, all the detail in that. But it is okay to have shadow in your images. It's just how you portray it and how you expose for it, and how you want to make it a part of the whole image. Shadow gives you depth. Light and shadow, you get that depth, particularly on the angle that you shoot. So think about that. When you're shooting, think about the depth, your foreground, your background, your middle ground, how that's all going to come together in your image.